like to give everybody out there listening a very warm White Cat welcome, because you're tuned in to the White Cat Outdoors podcast. What's going on, guys? Episode 27 of the White Cat Outdoors podcast. We had a packed house last week for the Father's Day episode. We had 5 people on mic. It was pretty wild.
5.
Yeah, but we thinned her down tonight. It's just me and Nick in the house
Trimming
tonight.
the fat around here.
Yeah, a lot. So you guys get the pleasure of hearing me and Nick talk all night.
It's going to be a good one, boys and girls. Is ever listening?
And girls, yeah. So I want to start off by talking to you.
Ooh,
because
nobody else is here?
Yeah. Not going to talk to anybody else.
Directly at you.
Kind of have to. No, but everybody knows that you don't like to tell anybody anything until we're on the mic. So
and you're doing it to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
But it's about things that we don't really talk about. You know, you did tell me that you got your ambush set up from Lone Wolf.
Yes.
But I want to talk about that, how you plan on setting that up, and like what you're doing for a saddle.
Okay.
Because I might want to try it, because I don't know, I might want to give it a rip. So I just want to know what you're looking at, reading about, what kind of saddle you're rolling with.
All right. So as Frank said, I went with Lone Wolf Custom Gear and got the Ambush, the Cunard's Ambush platform. It's quite a bit bigger than your traditional saddle platform. And I know, before I bought this one, I was kind of doing some research on other saddle platforms and some DIYs ones, and people had used, like old seats off their tree stands for platforms, and nothing was really jiving with me quite enough to where I wanted to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, I've never really looked at any other platform, like saddle platforms from other manufacturers.
Yeah,
so pretty much the only thing I know of is Lone Wolf, but I do know that it's a lot bigger than most of them. Like you said, most people, it's like a tree stand seat, basically, like a lock-on stand seat.
Yeah, it's just the seat. I mean, it's basically enough for like your front half of your feet to be on. So because I am not an experienced saddle hunter and I haven't, totally surrendered to it, wanted a bigger platform just to kind of, I felt like more comfortable on it. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into why I agree that this is such a better platform than anything else out there. So I went with that one, and then I had to come up with a saddle. And there's a few commercial saddles out there right now, but they are like wahoo bucks. For whatever reason, saddles are extremely expensive, which, everything in the hunting industry seems like the prices just keep going up, which is...
Especially for things like new things like that, that are like a niche thing that people are really starting to gravitate
saddle hunting's
towards.
been around for a long time, but it's
just now blowing up.
Yeah, it's blowing up big time.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, I'm jumping on that, and I'm curious to, how effective it is, so I figured I'd do a setup.
And it's fun to do different stuff.
Oh yeah, of course. There's been several trees where I'm like, that's a really nice spot. I don't know if I can get a lock on in that though. So that was, apple trees are a big one for that. I mean, there's just so many branches coming off of it. Sometimes something like that, or even some of those pine trees, there's a lot of gnarly branches coming off of it.
Yeah, you don't have room to put a lock on stand without cutting half your cover out.
Yeah, and if you're doing like a mobile setup on public land where you can't cut anything away, sometimes all you have is enough room to put maybe just a little platform for your feet. Mm-hmm. So that was more or less why I decided I wanted to get into having the saddle in my arsenal, not necessarily totally switching to the saddle.
Yeah.
But so for this actual saddle, for me, I had looked at a few different brands, and nothing was really jumped out at me that was like revolutionary, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So I ended up just buying a rock climbing harness, just your standard harness that people use for rock climbing with D-rings on the sides for lineman belts and that kind of thing. I spent less than $40 on it. And then I just...
Does that hook in your right by your waist, your belt buckle? Would that be about where it hooks, or is it up higher?
Basically, when you put the whole harness on, it's got leg straps and like a belt that goes around that's all connected. And there is a hook or a ring in the center, right around.
Does it have shoulder straps?
No, nothing on your shoulders.
So it's just around your waist.
Yeah, just around your waist. Which is essentially how most tree saddles are.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what I was like, well, man, this doesn't look a whole lot different.
I've seen a lot of saddles, it's literally just a saddle. It doesn't like hook to you at all. It's just like
it's like a seat in
almost. Not really a seat. It's like
like a swing,
like a towel,
a small hammock.
Yeah, very small hammock,
miniature hammock.
Basically
a butt-sized hammock. Yeah, no, it wasn't like that. See, this is like you strap yourself into it, and I felt very safe with it. But there is a hook up in the center, but I did something a little different with mine that I really haven't seen on anybody else's saddles or anything. What I did was I used the advantage of the hooks on the side for the line, or not hooks because they're closed, like D-rings basically. Yeah. Solid ring, steel, or I think they're aluminum rings. I can't remember exactly. But anyway, they're safe to hang from.
Yeah.
But what I did is I ran a rope, or actually I used webbing. So I used webbing that goes across my belt, and then I used a welded 2-inch steel ring that's on that, and then that has a rope that hooks to the tree. Mm-hmm. So I'm tethered to the tree off of that steel ring that's hooked to a strap. Now, what that does, for me, the biggest problem I always had with saddles was having that strap hooked to your like navel area that went straight to the tree that was always in the way. Now, what this ring does is when you go to swivel around, the loop moves,
slides from your hips.
Yes. So say you're shooting to the left of the tree. When you go to swivel to that side of the tree, the loop moves all the way to the right side of your belt. And now your strap is coming off of
out of your hip instead of
hip. Yeah, like over like right at, like where your hip bends. So now it's actually out of the way for where you're shooting, and the same thing to your left. And I mean, it takes a little bit of core strength, and I'm no fitness phenomenon. So if I can do it, I'm sure most people can. Like, it's nothing crazy.
And I'm sure if you're hunting in a saddle anyway, you're in
decent shape. Yeah, you can climb trees and do your thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're not buying like big blinds, you're probably like, this isn't for you. But I mean, your average person can do this. I feel confident saying that. But anyway, so I really like that. I've felt really good with that. I haven't actually brought my bow up with me yet, but holding my arms in the position, it feels really good. Mm-hmm. I've sat in the saddle for upwards of like 45 minutes and felt totally comfortable. I didn't notice any pinch points. Mm-hmm. One thing I am doing is sagging the belt almost to my butt. So it's not quite up around my back like you would for like rock climbing. Mm-hmm. And what that does is almost creates that little hammock like you're talking about.
Yeah.
But when you're talking like north of $200 for a hunting tree saddle versus the $40 rock climbing harness, it's like I said, it's super comfortable, and it's so far I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And one thing I really like about this platform, the Ambush, is that you can actually, it's big enough to where you can actually stand up and spin around and just stand with your back to the tree, and my feet are totally on the platform. Now, there's not a whole lot of opportunity for shots that way, but if you're planning maybe like to sit for an extended period of time, you could use that to relieve some pressure for a little bit and just kind of stand.
Sit in a new position,
Yeah, and I mean, there's like a little footrest on the platform that's already water jet cut into it, so you can take some of the weight off your feet interchangeably. And I worked all the way around the tree off that platform, and it stayed to the tree. There's 2 straps, so it really locks it in.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be nice to try that out this season. Like I said, it's not going to be, I'm not totally switching to a saddle, but it's
something new to try.
Yeah, it's going to be something new to try, and I think useful. You never know what you're going to get into.
Yeah.
So.
Totally. Yeah, I might have to cop it from you for $100 or $2 just to
I'm sure
give it
you
a roll. I might. I just might.
The only negative thing I have to say about the platform is about 2 weeks after I purchased this, Lone Wolf switched the finish on their tree stands.
So now you're gonna have different color sticks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That, and it's gonna bother me a lot. I can tell you that right now. It already does.
Haven't even got them yet.
So the old style has the Silent Touch technology, which is like that rubberized coating, which I love it on the bow. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal on the bow. Wasn't a huge fan of it on the platform. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it wasn't for me. I still had to silence the stand with the Slayer tape, so I felt like it kind of defeated the purpose of it. I do like the feel of it, like if it's on the stand and everything, so when you're grabbing a hold of it, it does feel nice. But I mean, I'm not holding on to it for very long. I'm mostly standing on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they've gotten rid of silent touch technology on their stands, and they're now using hammered titanium as the color. But it's basically Andre had said that it's an in-house process that they've developed. But for somebody that just from what I can pick up from it, it's almost like an anodized coating. It's like a dye that's on the aluminum, so it's not really a paint. So it's not going to chip off or scratch. It literally dyes the material a different color.
Yeah.
Which I'm really excited to see that on the sticks and other stands.
Yeah. Just
Spoiler alert.
Not excited about it being a different color.
Yeah,
than the platform.
different. Yeah, different from the platform. So who knows? Maybe I'll see if somebody wants to trade.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my saddle setup this year. They said not solely saddle hunting, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
Give it a rip. Right on. Well, that's not at all what we were planning on talking about this
that
episode.
Is a totally off topic.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because you don't tell me things, and I might want to try it, so I want to know what you're doing.
Yeah, and actually, lucky for you, the harness I bought is fully adjustable, so my harness would fit you as well. So
I don't even have to buy a harness.
You don't even have to buy anything, because if I'm not in the saddle, if I'm not in that platform, I'm not going to be using it. So
yeah,
I can just let you use the whole rig. I'll be done with it probably first day archery anyway.
Probably not.
That's how I do it a lot of times.
You can't even spell first day.
FIRST.
Okay, you don't have to spell it.
DAY. Space.
You're dumb. Yeah, you forgot the space.
But so Frank, now that we've wasted 12 minutes of everybody's time, what are we talking about today?
Wasn't a waste of my time. I learned a lot.
We've lost a few.
But it's we talked about rattlesnake hunting 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, probably around there.
Yeah,
23, 24, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So yeah, we talked about getting into snake hunting. What you need, your equipment and whatnot. And now we're way into snake season. We've had a few weekends going. So I'm gonna pass it over to Nick because Nick caught real nice snake last weekend.
That he did. I did.
Yeah, you did.
Trying to make it sound like we got more people in here.
Yeah. It's real crowded tonight.
Yeah, it is. It's full house. So, like Frank said, got a big one last weekend. So we went to one of our secret locations, a place that's near and dear to Frank and I's heart.
Very near and dear.
It's where this whole addiction with rattlesnakes started. And that's all the information you're going to get.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that it's in Pennsylvania. You can do your research on where to go. But we're on top of said mountain and doing our little walk, and right around where Frank had caught his first snake.
Yeah, it was almost in the exact same spot.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I was on high alert because I know that there had been snakes there in the past.
Very snaky area.
It is. And I'm looking ahead about 15 yards or so, and this is actually one of the first snakes I've located before I heard. Mm-hmm. And probably the farthest I've ever...
before I located it for you?
Yep. Yeah, however you want to word that.
Something like that.
Typically, I mean, even 15 yards, I typically don't see them out that far. Because
they blend in really well.
Crazy what God's done for camouflage for snakes.
I know it. It's crazy.
They fit right in. But anyway, I saw about, I'd say maybe 5 inches of tail and then the rattle. That's all I saw, and, being the William snake spear that I am, I had just made the assumption that it was not a big snake.
Yeah, he hollered out, got a snake over here, definitely not big.
Yeah, not big at all. So I go slowly make my approach, grab a hold of it, and I had grabbed somewhere midsection, and there was a lot of snake hanging off both sides of the
tongue. As soon as he picked it up, I was like, buddy, that's a legal snake right there.
As soon as it came out of the rocks, I was like, okay, I have spoken too soon.
They have underestimated the size. Yeah, just a schmick.
This is easily a legal snake. I could tell right off the bat.
Yeah.
So got him off the rock and moved, down about 10 feet to the grass, so it was a safe area where I could handle him. And I say him because one, we checked to see, and two, typically the males have a much bigger head and they're a lot meatier, which we've noticed over the dozens of snakes we've handled. So I was pretty confident that it was a male. But anyway, so we get down into the grass where it's more comfortable to work with them, and Frank had the assist with the tube.
Sure did.
Did actually really well for first snake of the year. Had a
You
few.
think I forgot?
Yeah.
Never know.
But I said it went pretty smooth. Nobody got bit. So we got him in the tube, got my hands on him, pulled out the tape, and just did a rough measurement because at this point I had decided that I wasn't going to keep this snake. Which at that time, once I realized I wasn't going to keep him, I also wanted to keep our handling to a minimum.
A minimum, yeah. Less stress on the snake.
Yeah, so basically the reason I didn't keep him, one, last year my snake was 48.5 inches, and it was a black phase. Excuse me. This year, it was another black phase. A quick measurement put him out to 45 inches, which I'm confident we could have stretched that a few more inches, but 45 is what we measured, so that's what we're going to go with.
Yeah.
But the main reason I didn't keep this one is it had 5 rattles and was 45 inches. So it was smaller.
And it was in the middle of shedding, too.
Yeah, it was in the middle of shedding. So there was 3 strikes on it. It was about
3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Almost shed, not very many rattles, and it was smaller than last year's snake. And it was a black phase, and I was after a yellow. So 4 strikes.
Had nothing going for it.
Yeah. It was a full count, and it swung and missed. But anyway, so like I said, we handled it a little bit, took a picture, and put him back at the rock I found him. And
nice healthy release.
Yeah.
It's just like muskie fishing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when handled properly, the snakes are totally calm. Yeah. I mean, within 45 seconds, they stop rattling. They let you hold them.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. Obviously, head still tubed.
Yeah, you don't want to start playing around with them outside the tube.
Yeah, the one thing I guess I do want to emphasize, especially for this episode, is like proper handling of the snakes. First off, I highly recommend don't use your hands, like to catch them. Like use tongs. They make reptile tongs for a reason. There's 2 different styles. There's like more of like what you think of when you think of tongs, like thin, smooth edges.
That's kind of how mine
That's
are.
how all of ours are. And then they also make more like spoon-shaped ones.
Yeah, I like those better. And I kind of, because last year I noticed that my tongs kind of scuffed up some scales on some snakes.
Yeah, if they were close to shedding, sometimes it would scuff them a bit.
Even one that we found that was fresh shed, like it had already shed, it scuffed up a couple of the scales on its back.
Okay.
So what I did with my set of tongs is I just put like some cotton out of like a pillow on them, and then I put electrical tape around it just to soften it up and make that edge a little bit wider.
Now, did you notice any difference? Because I know you handled my snake a little bit.
I mean, it was tough to tell with yours since its skin was already flaking.
Yeah,
because it was in the middle of shedding, so I couldn't really tell. I mean, I feel like it's going to help a lot just because it's a lot softer and a wider area that it's touching. That's why I want to find the ones that have the spoons. Then
that's what Morgan last year. She had ones with spoons, and I didn't notice like it wasn't any harder to catch the snake or anything. But anyway, so I guess back to what I'm talking about, like proper handling. One, don't squeeze the shit out of the snake. Like just enough to hold them. Get them off the rocks so you're in a steady area. It's safe to hold them.
And while you're holding them, don't like hold them up in the air.
Yeah, keep them on the ground.
Yeah.
If you want to hold them up quick for a picture, but like for the most part, keep
when
them on
you're
the
holding
ground.
them up for a picture, you're probably doing it with your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Support them. It's one big neck muscle essentially on a snake. There's I don't know exactly where the knee is.
Just ask Bobby Boucher's mom.
That's a Waterboy joke.
I got it.
They don't sponsor us, but it's okay. So, like I said, use the tongs. Once you tube them, do that gently. The snake eventually will accept the tube if you're patient. Sometimes certain snakes don't like it right away. Don't death grip the snake. I mean, just hold it gently as if it's an animal. Treat it with respect.
Yeah.
Put it
and
back.
They don't really like try to get away.
No,
when you have a hold of them, they're kind of content just sitting.
It's not
there,
like a fish that's flopping around. Like once you get a hold of it, they're just like, okay, here I am. Like they don't
got
care.
me.
And then the biggest thing, like when you're done, like if you're not gonna keep it, put it back where you got it. Like don't carry it for 100 yards and set it somewhere else. Like they were there for a reason. Sometimes the snake, if it's a male, they could be out mating. And they're like on a certain path.
Yeah, they're close to a den or something.
Yeah, if they're especially dens, be very cautious around dens. One, don't destroy dens.
Yeah.
And just be cautious because dens typically have a lot of snakes in them. Like last year we found one with 9+.
Yeah.
So just be careful, and just respect the animal as you would with any animal you're hunting. But yeah, that's basically the proper handling. That was actually our only snake for the trip.
Yeah. Dad and I went on a real long walk the next day.
Yeah, why don't you tell me about that? Because I didn't even get to talk to you much about it.
Yeah, you got some false information. You were told that
I was. Yeah, news was telling me that we had legal snakes on the grill.
Yeah, they were already eaten. But no, there was that mountain that we looked at last year across the river, and Dad and I got up there, and it was from where we parked. It was actually a super easy walk. Like when we were looking at it last year, we kind of thought it was going to be a shitty walk, like straight up the mountain. But
like our walk we had on Saturday.
Yeah,
it was like 3 miles of incline.
Yeah, that sucked.
At like 1 o'clock.
Yeah, but no, we got there at like 8 o'clock where we parked, and right where we parked, it was like at the top of the mountain, and the mountain's just like a long ridge. So you park at the top, and the whole way you're just like walking the top spine of the mountain. So
Oh, so you guys were able to drive up there this time?
No, not what you're thinking. How the road goes all the way through. We didn't drive up there. We went around the other side of the mountain, and like from that one park that we were at, we went to the other side of the mountain, and where the parking area is on that side is still like 4 miles from where you want to hunt. Like
but at least it's at the top.
Yeah, you're not doing the elevation change, so it's 4 miles of flat walking. So it was.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, it was like nothing. But we saw a lot of snaky areas, but.
What time were you walking through there? Like, do you think it was the right time?
Where we were hunting, or where we were walking to?
You said you were in snaky areas, and you were surprised that you didn't find snakes.
We were there. We started looking at about 10:30, but I think the problem was one thing that we've kind of noticed is that the snakes don't really start moving around until the dew lifts. Like say 10:30. For a rough estimate. But like we noticed this past weekend. We didn't find any snakes in what looked like really good area, but the dew never lifted. It was the fog held really long since we were up.
I remember you sent me some pictures, yeah.
Yeah, and it never got hot. The sun never came out.
So they didn't even care to come out and bask anyway.
Yeah, it was a cloudy day, and it was like 72 degrees. It never got really warm. The sun wasn't baking, so I just think it wasn't the right day for it. I think it's going to be a good spot on the right day, but that was not the day for it.
Gotcha. So definitely worth another visit, I'd say. Especially, I'd like to see it up there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely worth going back to because there's several spots up there that you can. It's not like you just hit one spot and it's like, okay, let's.
Is there any power lines up there?
Yeah, there's 2.
Oof.
Yeah,
I like it.
And the one's
actually. We've had a
lot
of luck on power lines.
Yeah, the one's only like a mile from the truck, and another one's 3 miles past that.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, so it's a good spot.
That's one thing, I guess, if you are interested in getting into snake hunting, be prepared to walk.
Yeah.
There's a lot of miles you're going to put on, but it's at a slow pace. It's very methodical looking. You don't realize how far you've walked until you decide to turn around.
Yeah.
And you have to do the exact same amount to get back.
Yeah. No, and
or take a shortcut from the Alaskan guide that takes you on
a
wild goose chase for no snakes.
Yeah. But no, you really don't notice how far you're walking because you're, looking on, all around the rocks and stuff, and it's super easy to lose track of time and how far you're walking. So, yeah.
We're back. I just had to take my sweatshirt off real quick.
Getting a little hot in here.
Yeah. I started thinking about snakes and
get all hot and bothered.
Getting all hot, yeah. Actually, that is the new XOP sweatshirt.
Oh, yeah, it looks nice.
It's real nice.
Looks nice on you.
And it's warm.
Yeah, I can tell.
Getting a little sweaty over here.
It's only the middle of summer. I don't know why you're wearing a hoodie.
Took the Jimmy here, which most people don't know about the Jimmy, but Jimmy has no doors. So even when it's warm outside, it gets a little chilly, and especially when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
So gotta prepare, but didn't need it now.
Yeah, definitely don't need it in the house.
For sure. Another thing while we're talking about snakes and, proper handling and all of that kind of stuff, I do want to remind people that timber rattlesnakes are protected in Pennsylvania. They're not endangered or in danger of being extinct, but they're protected, which means that there's a lot of they put a lot of time and money and effort into preserving the population and
their habitat.
And one of the reasons that they've opened snake hunting in Pennsylvania is to help get a better accurate record on the amount of snakes we have in PA.
Yeah, because every snake you even see, not like whether you pick it up or not, you have to fill out a report on every single snake that you see.
Where it was caught. I mean, if you handle it, they want to know male, female, the size, what phase, the county.
And if you don't fill out, that report card for the season, you can get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they risk that you don't get another license. So you're only allowed to keep one snake a year. So like I said, there's a big emphasis on the snake hunting is more or less trying to figure out, where are the densest areas for snakes, and it's a lot of research that goes into it. They do the rattlesnake roundup where they bring guys from the Game Commission out, and they just do it. There's just a lot of research involved. And one guy we met on our last trip, we were actually hunting up on some oil pads, which have become it's a hot spot for us. We found, which that kind of a little bit gives a location, but not really. There's a lot of oil pads everywhere. All over the place. So wherever you decide to hunt, if you find some oil pads, it's probably a decent place to start. But anyway, so we found out when these oil rigs are coming up and the welders and everything, they're putting in these new pipelines, the Game Commission and the state actually requires a biologist to be on site that specializes in rattlesnakes and snake habitat. And what they do is basically before the pipeline gets laid down, they go out and do surveys. They try and find dens and traveling corridors for the snakes. And what they do is reroute the pipeline to go around them because they don't want to destroy these dens, which is actually a cool thing to know.
We learned a lot from that guy that we ran into.
I can't remember his name, but your dad has his card.
I was going to say, I know someone's got his card.
But it was nice to hear that these oil pads aren't affecting the snake population because what they're doing is the snakes actually come first. They basically before any construction happens, they go through, they map these out. They will change the route to get around snake areas. Yeah, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And they're on site every day that they're working. It's not something they come in once a month. They're there all day, every day when they're working, and it helps prevent accidents from snakes being killed accidentally with equipment.
Getting run over by vehicles.
Because like I said, they're protected. They really don't want them just being meaninglessly, if that's even a word, killed. Because like I said, everybody that gets a license can keep one per year, but you can eat them or preserve them however you choose, or keep them as a pet if you so wish. So it was, like I said, it was really cool to talk to that guy. We learned a lot from him. They actually now have signs up and down the roadways, watch out for snakes, as if they were deer crossing signs, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah, we didn't see those last year, but I mean, we hunt last year wasn't under construction last year. They're doing a lot of new construction, and adding roads and stuff in. So they had the signs up all over the place.
Which I wonder if that has anything to do with the lack of snakes we saw this year, is because they were actively working.
Yeah, I feel like all the commotion would have...
There's a lot of vibration going around, with a lot of the equipment. There's a lot of noises. Yeah. Last year when we hunted out there was nobody up there.
Yeah, we didn't run into
and there was snakes all over the place.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't think the population's down. It's just, I think that the snakes are less apt to just be out when there's a ton of people around.
Yeah, especially because, we're hunting around the pads and stuff. That's where all these people are working, where they're driving all their equipment. If it's a high traffic area, the snakes aren't going to be as readily available.
Yeah, exactly. And that guy said they reroute these oil pads to be away from the dens. So if you're walking the roads, you're guaranteeing that you're not coming by a den.
Yeah.
Which is actually, I didn't even realize that until he had said it. When we're out on the power lines, we ran into several dens.
Yeah.
But when we do the oil pad hunts, we never find dens.
Yeah.
And it's now that I know that they reroute these paths, it's
Makes sense now.
You're never going to find a den if you don't jump into the woods off the trail.
Mm-hmm. Unless a den gets established after the path. But
of course.
All the new construction, there's definitely not going to be anything around there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, snakes can... They don't have to get permits, believe it or not. They can den up wherever they want.
They don't need a biologist when they're making their house.
There's no codes that they have to follow, which is, I think, ridiculous.
Right.
Doesn't matter how big the den is. There's no taxes or nothing. They're kind of just mooching off the system.
They really are. They really, really are.
But that's really that was basically it from that guy.
Yeah, he was definitely interesting to talk to. I love when we run into people like that. Like we ran into some people last year, and I think they worked for the game commission. The guys
those
we ran
guys were
into
game
last
commission.
year. But yeah, it's definitely cool to sit down and talk with them about what they see and what they do. Especially that guy being a biologist and how because he interacts with snakes all day every day. That is
he's got special permits that he's allowed to handle them year round. Not necessarily handle them.
Look for them.
He can it doesn't matter what time of year he can collect data.
Is it data or data?
Oh geez,
that's tough.
I knew as soon as I said data and you said data,
it's all gonna get bad.
It's bad. So why don't you guys let us know in the comments if it's data or data? If you think it's data, just put data. If you think it's data, just put data, and
then we'll know.
We'll know if it's data or data.
Settle that argument right now.
We'll figure it out. I can tell just by the way you type it if it's data or data.
Yeah.
You ever notice? This is way off topic. But have you ever seen those posts that say like, do you say data or data, and you actually pronounce them differently? Like it's spelled. I've seen it like it says data and data or data and data, but when it says or in between them, you pronounce them differently, even though it's a weird.
You pronounce it one way, but when you read it twice in a row, you gotta go both ways.
Yeah, because it says or, and subconsciously that there's another way.
There is another way.
It's like ramen and ramen. We all know it's ramen.
We all know it's ramen.
Yeah, of course. We could go. There's a whole long list, but we were not going to cover that. I guess before we say goodbye or anything, I do want to talk about plans for more snake hunting. I don't know. You do most of our research on areas to go.
What do you mean most?
All.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a better word.
Besides, me putting us in the.
Speaking of that. I literally almost lost my mind because I had so many waypoints on Onyx.
Oh, this is good. Let's talk about this.
So many waypoints. One, I'd mark every snake that we caught. I put a description.
Helps for record keeping.
Yeah, I put a description on the waypoint, saying we caught this snake. It was this big, male, female.
I think if Onyx is listening, they should create a waypoint with a little rattlesnake.
I agree.
They have one for morel mushrooms now.
Get the rattlesnake.
Yeah, come on. How hard can it be to add just a little rattlesnake especially for Pennsylvania? It's there's rattlesnakes everywhere. So Onyx, if you're listening, Mr. Steve Onyx, if you are listening, go ahead and hook us up with a waypoint marker of a rattlesnake. Yeah, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, and had that been an option, maybe it wouldn't have got deleted.
Yeah, we wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah, me and Dad share our Onyx account.
Oh, so you have one? Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. And
multi-device.
Yeah, and he didn't realize that I put all these snake waypoints down. And
let me tell you, there was a lot.
A lot. There was one for every snake we caught, for the description, for record keeping. And then I just marked, parking spots where we went and a bunch of spots that we had never been to, but they looked good on the map. I was like, we should check these spots out. I had them everywhere. So many of them. And one day Dad goes on there and he's like, what are all these waypoints? I'm going to delete every single one of them. I was like, so I went on there, and we're going down, for our first snake hunt of the year. I'm like, where are all of my waypoints? I thought because there's a way you can hide your waypoints so when you're looking at the map, you don't have pings all over the place. Yeah. So I'm going through the settings. I'm like, okay, it's they're not hidden. My waypoint should be there. What's going on right now? And I'm sitting there, getting frustrated in the truck. And my dad's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I cannot figure out where all these waypoints went.
Thinking Onyx's junk or something.
And he goes, oh, that might have been me. I was like, what do you mean?
Might have. There's only one way this could go. Either you did or you didn't.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean it might have been you? He's like, well, I was deleting a bunch of stuff. I was like, why were you doing that? He's like, well, I didn't put them there, so I figured they just
typical dad.
Yeah, they just showed up. It was the government.
Father's Day's over. We can trash talk now.
Yeah. So yeah, he was like, yeah, the government's taken over my phone, so I got to delete everything on it. So we lost all the waypoints, so now I got to do all that research again. And there was a lot of hours in staring at maps.
Yeah, there definitely was. Did he delete all of our Ohio points too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, sure did.
Good thing I have those ones.
Yeah.
I have Ohio's. Yeah. Only so we can.
He didn't delete my New York waypoints, and he didn't delete my Nebraska waypoints.
Huh.
But anything in Pennsylvania, he's like, that's junk.
Yeah, stuff that I most likely will use a lot.
You think he would have put two and two together and be like, wow, this is right where we snake hunt? Maybe that's what these waypoints are.
See, had we had a snake waypoint, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna have to write a letter.
Yeah. Strongly worded.
Very strongly worded.
We're talking a lot about data and data.
Every S, there's gonna be like 3 S's. It's gonna be wild.
That would be hilarious.
I think they'd really go for it.
Yeah. I would say get on it.
Get Onyx.
Get Onyx. Get it?
It's an X, but it sounds like an S.
Yeah, it sounds like an S.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, with only 2 guys in the studio.
Yeah, we didn't really have a ton to cover today. We just want to kind of talk about some good snake handling habits and what we learned from the biologists that we ran into.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to talk about that and get him on here. We're actually in the works of getting, remember you guys are buddy Hunter Klobuchar. We've talked a few times about the Outdoors Greatest podcast, his newest adventure. We're trying to get him on soon, so I want you guys to look out for that because that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be a good episode.
You guys have proven that he's one of your favorite episodes that you had on here. He's,
one of the top listened to.
Top 5, and that was episode 4, way back.
Way back.
Me and Frank were actually just talking about this before we hit record, how crazy it is. This is 26 weeks solid. I mean, this is episode 27, 26 weeks of consecutive podcasts being dropped every Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty proud of that myself. There's a lot that goes into making sure that happens.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's a lot that goes into doing it every single week.
I mean, I've had several people approach me since we've started about, oh yeah, I've wanted to do a podcast, and I offer my help, or a lot of guys say, oh, I'm starting this podcast, and it's just people don't realize how hard it is to stay consistent and make sure that something gets out every week. Like that was one thing I said, if we're going to do this, like I am telling you, we're not going to miss a week.
Yeah.
And right now we have yet to pre-record anything. Like
we tried a couple of times at the beginning, but you kept accidentally deleting stuff.
Yeah, it was God's sign that people want live feeds. So when you guys hear this, it was recorded
a couple days before.
It was recorded that week. Like we don't have anything in the bank. Like every single week we're getting together. We're trying to set up guests as best we can, but COVID's made that difficult to do in-house.
Very difficult.
We've done a few phone calls, which I think are going pretty well. Mm-hmm. Owen Zimmers has been really hot lately, especially this time of year.
Yeah, with all the food plot stuff. That's what Tommy's doing today.
I was just going to say, speaking of food plot stuff, before we wrap it up, the reason Tom was not at work today, in studio, he gets a pass because he's out doing work. He's out preparing food plots right now, so we got a whole smorgasbord for the whitetails this year.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna get crazy. Everybody already knows what's in those if you listen in, but just wanted to give Tom credit that he's not just
slacking off.
He's out working hard, and Luke, he's not an every week kind of guy, but he's out working third shift right now, so he can't join us either.
Yeah, that sucks a lot.
So
I would hate that.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. But I think we're going to wrap this one up a little early. The sun's still out. I know your dad actually was leaving for cameras, so I think I'm going to go check some cameras and get outside.